so this is going to be a very special video. This is well, you probably know what it is. This is a brand new bike, which I'm very excited to unbox, so I'm going to do that right now. Get it, the stem the right height. Obviously we need to put some spacers on there. I've just got those over there, and also the Garmin mount handily kind of clips in to the end of there, so I'll get that sorted as well. I just wanted to make sure I was using the right thing for the Garmin. I've got to put this in here and then make sure the Garmin can fit on properly. So I'll just clip the Garmin in. It's a very, very snug fit, so that's really good news. Also out the stem situation, basically just lowered the handlebar and got rid of the rubbery things at the back. So that's nice and low, perfect because this bike is still a little bit too big because I want to grow into it. And then let's just sort out the Garmin at the front. Alright, as you can see now the two bolts are out now. These on the Garmin mount are just supposed to slot in there. The mount is on, I think it looks pretty sleek. What do you guys think about it? And then that Garmin, oh that's a very, very snug fit. That's going to be great when out riding, just in front of you on the handlebars there. Alright, welcome to the second part of this video. This part's probably a bit more useful and a bit more exciting. It's not me struggling to open a cardboard box. So I'm going to run you through the spec of the bike, kind of show you about it, what I really like about it, even if I've only done a 10-minute spin around the block. So, without further ado, let's start with the cockpit. Right, so out front we've got an Aero handlebar, which is 42 centimeters wide, which is relatively wide for a bike. It's also got the new 105 shifters, which are very, very comfortable and have a similar shape to the Ultegra and Dura Ace ones. Then in front of that, quickly show you, we've got a Garmin mount which is integrated into the handlebars, or into the stem I should say, as it kind of replaces the two bolts there would otherwise be. And we've also got a pretty long stem which is 110 millimeters or 11 centimeters, which is pretty long. And then if I had to lower the handlebar, as you can see, there's that sticking out the top. I might cut that when the bike shops are open again. Definitely I'm going to do that at home because A, I don't have the tools, and B, I'd just completely ruin it. And then we can get the Aero cap on, and it also just looks a bit cleaner. And then the cables are also integrated. They go through the handlebars there and go into the frame here, and then the back brake comes out here. Moving on to the front wheel and forks here. See, there's an Aero brake with a kind of Aero cover, which is actually behind the forks rather than front. So when I'm actually looking at the front, I think, oh, it's a disc brake bike, and then you look down there and think, no, it's not a disc brake bike, because they're actually just behind there. And then the front wheel is actually 42 millimeters deep. It's fully carbon, got some blade spokes there. I'll do a close up of that in a second. Oh, and also on the front it has 16 spokes. Very, very light, and fitted onto that is a Giant AC1 tubeless tyre, which I'm a big fan of. I've always had clinchers before, but you know, I think this is going to be really, really good. As a sealant inside will just fill it up, and that's just great because you don't really have to stop for 10 minutes, changing your puncture. That's really good news. Right, moving on to the frame. This is full carbon frame, carbon fork. There's not too big of a gap between the down tube and the front wheel, which is great for aerodynamic reasons. And obviously there's an arch for the back wheel to kind of slide towards. Also a bit more aero. Personally, I really like the paint job. Let me know what you think in the card up here. Also it allows for an Aero seat post to kind of be integrated in there with a nice little flap over here, which took me 5 minutes to actually find how to adjust the seat or the saddle height because it was just under there. I really like the mix of the light blue and the dark blue. I think it looks great. Moving on to the drivetrain now. This is the new Shimano 105, which I think came out in 2018. It's 11 speed group set, 11 gears on the back, as you can see. This current one is the 3011 cassette, and you've got relatively decent sized jockey wheels to reduce that friction. Again, on the front we've got a 5236, which is, you know, nice and big, pretty standard for a more aero bike like this. Previously I had a 5034, so 2 teeth smaller on both of them there. Oh yeah, and the length of the crank is 172.5 millimeters, and I previously had 170 millimeters, so I don't know if that makes much difference. I guess you can have a slight bit of power difference there. I'm not a scientist. Moving on to the back wheel, we obviously have the same tubeless tyre. This is 64 millimeters deep. That's super deep, definitely more aero. and it's also got quite an aero profile with a kind of more circular bottom rather than the standard triangle or box set that you find on aluminium wheels. Oh yeah, and this wheel set is the Giant SLR1 wheel set. Moving on to the saddle and seat post here, we got the Giant Contact SL forward saddle, which is only 173 grams despite it not being carbon, and then it's fitted onto a nice Aero seat post here, which slides nicely into the frame. I haven't really had a chance to do like a proper first ride on this because I'm still waiting to get a new cassette which I can put on the trainer so I can make the full transition from my bike to this bike. Oh yeah, and the length of the crank is 172.5 millimeters, and I previously had 170 millimeters, so I don't know if that makes much difference. I guess you can have a slight bit of power difference there. I'm not a scientist. Now time for a quick free hub sound check. That's probably the bit you've all been waiting for. I've been driving my family members mad with this, so here we go. That's a very sweet sound. Another thing which I find is slightly different is the fact that it's got a carbon braking track. I just find it slightly different to the aluminium braking. I don't know, it doesn't feel better or worse, it just feels different. Oh, and also the weight without pedals is around 8 kilograms. So anyway, that is the spec of the bike. I hope you enjoyed this section of the video. Now, on to my first proper ride. Alright, so the reason I haven't transitioned completely from this bike over onto the trainer is because I do not have an 11-speed cassette which I can put on the trainer, and my current bike is 9-speed, as you guys can see right there. So I'm waiting for that to come in the post and then I can make a full transition. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go out for an easy ride because, you know, I really enjoy testing it out. Sometimes just doing an easy ride and not really worrying about power is really good for you, really good for your mind. So that's what we're going to do now. But I don't want to be riding with flat pedals on there, so I'm going to quickly just transition my power meter pedals onto this bike, which is quite easy, and that's one of the key functionality points of these power meter pedals, because you can transition them so easily. All you have to do is put this, which is kind of the hex wrench which comes with it, get it lodged in there. All I'm trying to do is the camera, and then hang on. Then you just have to push down a bit, and then just slowly unwind the pedal, just like that. Alright, flats are off. We got one of the power meter pedals on. Well, that doesn't actually measure power, but this one will, so let's just get that on, and yeah. Alright, that one is tightly. Literally just realised I don't have any bottle cages on my bike, so just kind of a quick cup of water and then and out. Right, so that was only a 2-minute ride because my Garmin just popped out, including this thing, because it wasn't screwed down properly, because I didn't realise you had to screw it. And then I just spent 10 minutes faffing around trying to screw it in from the bottom. Don't know why I came to that conclusion, because I'm supposed to screw it in from the top. Yeah.
4 to 6 more days later.
Alright, so today is Friday. I've gone out for 3 rides, and I think I've got a pretty good idea about what this awesome machine is all about. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is how responsive it is. This bike is very, very, very responsive, and I find that when I'm trying to get up to a higher speed, and when I'm going from slow speed or accelerating out of corners, it's very, very responsive, and I can put it up to that speed quite easily, and not as much power as you would need with a different bike, mainly because it's so light, I think. And once you are up to a certain speed, you can really just hold it at that speed because it's so aerodynamic and so efficient in all sorts of ways. And then also I want to talk about this drivetrain. I've never ridden an 11-speed bike before. My previous road bike was a 9-speed bike, so sometimes I felt like I was between gears. But on this thing, that's definitely not an option, and 11 gears at the back is more than enough. Now, since filming on Monday or whenever it was, I've got some bottle cages because when I went out for my ride I didn't have any water. But thank God these bottle cages arrived. They are the Elite Custom Race Plus bottle cages, should I say, and they are very, very light, and I think they look pretty cool with the matte black on the blue frame. Also, another thing I want to talk about is the 105 shifters. They are very, very comfortable and allow you to kind of have a range of positions, so whether it's just on the hoods normally or kind of on the Aero hoods, and also the shifting is very, very quick. You can really, really, really notice the difference between different bikes, because previously I was on a relatively heavy aluminium bike, and when this thing gets up to a speed, it won't back off at all. Another thing is the tubeless tires. I found that it gives me a lot of confidence because you don't have to really think about puncturing. That's really great. Also, there's less rolling resistance, which is a really good thing as well. And they have an immense amount of grip when you're going around the corners. And they have a flatter middle, which means there's less rolling resistance, but a kind of stripy sidewall, meaning that when you're cornering and banking the bike over, you really have a lot of grip. And then another different thing is the carbon braking. These wheels are carbon fiber, which means you're braking on the carbon fiber brake pad with special carbon fiber specific brake pads. And I don't find the braking is better or worse. I just think it feels very different. It has quite a nice feel, like you're really connecting with the braking, and you could definitely brake efficiently. People said different things about carbon braking. I haven't had a chance to test in the wet because the weather's just amazing. So we'll see how that fares in the wet, but I'm still not sure if I'll put some aluminium training wheels in or keep these carbon wheels out for the wetter rides. Also, I think the handlebars are very comfortable. They're a nice width for me, for my shoulder width, and also the drops are kind of thinner, which allows me to get my hands around the bars better and really sprint properly. I just think with all the Aero features adding up, it's just a brilliant piece of equipment. It's also pretty light. I mean, 8 kilos might sound like a lot because you're used to hearing professional numbers, but 8 kilos really isn't that much. And then finally, I really like the saddle. I was thinking about switching my physique saddle from my old bike onto here, but I'm not going to, because I really like this because it's so comfortable. Since it's so long, it offers a range of positions, whether you're kind of on the rivet, where it says forward, for example, or just back in the little dip, and when you want it more comfortable. And also, these are aluminium rails rather than carbon fiber, which gives it a little more strength, and that probably makes it a little bit more durable and a bit stronger when you're really on the rivet and putting some force over it like that. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to hit the like button, and why not hit the share button and text a friend to let them know about this video or this channel.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the ninth inning. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream, live it right, that's the thing. Every night got a team, I've been tied to the scene. Out on stage, here I'm screaming. Okay, it's a dream, and I pray as a team. One day it'll be me. If I want it, then I'll get it. Head down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living for today. For a minute, I don't stay, I just visit. Have no shame, I admit it. Looking right at me to see if I succeed.